I'm back. So we're going to do part 2 and part 3 all in this one video, short and sweet. It took 5 hours to upload the last video, so we're going to make this one a little bit faster. Hopefully they will upload this evening and you'll be able to see them in the morning. We covered one-step equations with multiplication. So very quickly, I know, all my talking, we are going to talk about solving division this time. So remember we talked about when you have a multiplication problem, to solve it, you have to do the opposite. Same thing with division. So if I have a division problem, then I have to undo the division by doing the opposite, which is multiplication. Okay, so back onto your notes. If you look at this first one, then it says multiplication property, multiply both sides. So my problem says t divided by 5 equals 3. To undo t divided by 5, I've got to multiply both sides by 5. So on this side you can see where I wrote 3 times 5, which we know is 15. On this side, I'm going to move a little bit closer. If you look, I changed it to 5 over 1 only because this division problem looks like a fraction. So 5 over 1 goes ahead and allows me to multiply top times top, bottom times bottom. Well, as you know, this really just cancels itself out and ends up with t. Okay? So the opposite of t divided by 5 is to multiply by 5. This side 5 over 1, because 5 over 1 is 5. Then I need to check it. And I go through to check it. I rewrite the problem. Here it is. And I change the letter t to 15, because that's what I'm thinking the answer is. 15 divided by 5 is 3. That is true, so 3 equals 3. Remember over here, we substitute the value of the variable. So my variable, which is t, aka just a letter, changes to 15. And again, I'll scan and upload these on Wednesday. All right, I know that was short and sweet. You might have to pause, reflect, pause, go back and look, pause, go back and reflect. So we're going to look at this one. This one is 3 times n is equal to 51. So we're changing a word problem. The product, remember product is the answer to a multiplication problem. So the answer to a multiplication problem of 3 times a number, 3 times n, is 51, not 15, sorry, 51. Multiplying 3 times a number, I just use n because they said number, 51. Okay. Then you go through, because this is multiplying by 3, you do the opposite, divide both sides by 3. What I do to one side, I have to do to the other. 51 divided by 3 is 17. We translate, then we solve, then we check. Last one, this one says the quotient, we know quotient means to divide. So the quotient of a number, something, n, and 3, so n divided by 3, because I want a quotient, is always means equal, 9. N divided by 3 is 9. The opposite of dividing by 3 is to multiply by 3. Excellent. 9 times 3 is 27. And then, of course, you need to check it. All right, so that said, let's do a couple of super quick practice problems. We're going to go backwards. Your first problem, there we go. is which equation requires you to use the division property of equality. So remember, if I have to divide to get my answer, then that means I have multiplied. Sorry, I can't read my handwriting backwards. So when I use the division property, then I'm looking for a problem where I've multiplied. So choice A says 9.2 plus C. Well, you can kill that one off because that won't work. Choice B is dividing, but do I divide to solve divide? No. Remember, I have to do the opposite. I'm trying to undo this one. 201.6 or 201 and 6/10 equals 11 and 2/10 times F. Yes, that's my cursive F. So to undo times F, or multiplying, then I would need to divide. So my best answer choice would be C. I use division to undo multiplication. Awesome. All right, here's your next one. Nope. Let's look at this example. Sorry. 22 equals A divided by 11. So remember, I asked you to rewrite the problem. So we're going to rewrite 22 equals A divided by 11, just simply rewriting. And I want you to ask yourself, what is the opposite of division? Multiplication. So I'm going to multiply both sides by the number that's next to or underneath the letter. In this case, I'm going to multiply both sides by 11. Okay, that means this cancels itself out, and I'm left on this side with just A, and 22 times 11, you do it. Whoops, I just messed myself up there. Did you get 242? Of course you did, because you're awesome. All right, last one. This one's a little sneakier. We're going to have to do a conversion. This one has 1 3/4 times B, D, sorry, 1 3/4 times D equals 14. 1 3/4 D, D is my variable, equals 14. So I'm going to rewrite so I can mess with it. Didn't change anything, didn't do any fancy math, rewrote my problem. Now, in this one, we've got to change this mixed number to an improper fraction. Just makes it a little easier to do the math, and we like easier math. So remember, oops, let's use a different color. There we go. To change, I say to myself, 4 times 1 plus 3. Well, 4 times 1 is 4, plus 3 is 7. So my new numerator, or top number, is going to be 7, and those tricky denominators, they never change. And then I just bring the rest of the math problem down. All right, so I'm multiplying. To undo multiplication, you divide. Okay. So we could divide both sides by 7/4. Now, this is going to look a little creepy, so don't freak out on me. This is how we would write this. But we talked about yesterday, we know when we're dividing fractions, Now, here's the cool thing. This side just cancels out and leaves us with D. And on the other side, pins are dry now. On the other side, we end up with 14 divided by 7 over 4. I'm going to write it sideways because that's the way we like looking at our division problems. Okay? Now you go back to your rule in the division of fractions. Don't ask why. Turn the second one around and multiply. So I'm going to put my 14 over 1. And I'm going to change the division to a multiplication. 7/4 becomes 4 over 7. And we multiply out very quickly. And I end up with 56 over 7. Here's my little bad boy over here. There he is, 56. I know, don't comment on the handwriting. Divided by 7. Those are my weird 7s. You'll get used to them. And now your job is going to be to reduce that answer. So here's all the work on that problem. Make sure you have it written down, hint, 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 hint. When you reduce, I know you guys can do 56 divided by 7 is 8. There you go. And then I want you to go back and check it. Here's the other problem. Make sure you have it written down, hint, hint, written down. You can pause the video. And then on the first one we did, we said to undo or use division. The original problem has to have multiplication. All right, you can pause the video down, or pause the video and write that down. All right, guys, that was fast and furious. That covered dividing fractions, one-step equations with division. I gave you 3 little practice problems. Go back and watch the video a few times. Practice both. If you have questions before you take your pre-test, I will be back on Zoom at 4 o'clock tomorrow, which is Tuesday, in the afternoon. I'll be right back in our regular Zoom room.